Welcome to Me Time with Mind Escape Vibe. I am so excited today because today is our first episode of Speak On It, the panel discussion edition of our podcast, where our panelists come together to ignite your flame, laugh together, cry together, but most importantly, keep it lit since it is your time to be kind to your mind. Our panelists today are thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and all around good people. I have the honor of introducing these ladies, and they will also have the opportunity to dive into more detail about their businesses. Bianca, esoteric advisor and founder of Obsidian Corona. Hassandra Jernigan, life consultant and motivational speaker, founder of Mad Life. Jamie Gant, life coach and personal development facilitator, founder of Radically Alive Coaching. Jennifer Chapman, certified mindset coach, founder of Just Commit Coaching. I'm so excited to have these ladies on my first panel discussion, and I just want to dive right in. Ladies, welcome. Thank you so much for participating and Speak On It, our first panel discussion. Bianca, would you introduce yourself, please?
I am Bianca, the Obsidian Corona. I refer to myself as an esoteric advisor, so I use tools such as tarot, oracle cards, just cards in general, really, to give people practical, actionable advice. I encourage my clients to create their fate and take more charge in their future rather than being passive participants in life.
And Hassandra, kick it over to you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hassandra, and I am located in Georgia. I am a certified life coach, and what I do is help my clients to identify their goals and to achieve them. So we make personalized plans to achieve their goals. I'm also an author, two-time author. My latest book is Unattached to Final Season, where I share my 20-year journey of discovering the authentic version of me in the area of romantic love and beyond. And I love music, so I'm a music fanatic. So I'm just excited to be here to be a spark in the life of someone.
Yes. Oh, I'm so excited. Jamie.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Jamie Gant, and I'm the founder of Radically Alive Coaching. I'm a certified life coach and positive psychology practitioner. I focus on self-love and self-care with my clients, and I really like to help my clients start living life on their terms through practices that bring a deepening to their relationship with themselves, which translates to a life lived more radically.
I love it. And Jennifer, last but not least, Jennifer, bring it, girl.
Thanks so much for having me. My name's Jennifer Chapman. I'm here in Indianapolis, and I am a certified life and mindset coach, as well as a speaker. And I help my clients really take their power back and become more self-aware of what's held them back in the past with regards to limiting beliefs and that fear that can get in the way, and really using that as their superpower to move forward and tap into their real why they are the way they are, why they do what they do, and to be able to move forward and walk with more clarity and purpose.
Oh, I love it. This is going to be a great discussion. I love the fact that we have 3 coaches on with 3 different niches, right? And then we have an esoteric advisor on that says, hey, I can give you practical advice, but it's up to you to do something with it. So let's get started in the conversation, because today our topic is mindset and growth. So here's my first question to you. If someone is struggling with just determining their life purpose, what direction they want to go in, maybe even setting some purposeful, healthy boundaries, how would one start? How would one continue? And how would they do that without guilt or shame?
That's a loaded first question.
Yeah.
You knew I was going to bring something. This is because the guilt and shame is associated with it, right? When you want to set boundaries, healthy or not. Go ahead, Hassandra.
The advice that I would give them first, if we were setting up our session and that was their question to me, I would first tell them to grace yourself. That's my big word. Just grace yourself. Understand that we're put here to live this life, and we're going to live it day by day, step by step, moment by moment. So I would break all of that down and say, okay, where are you? If this is where you are right now, I need you just to grace yourself and clear your mind so that we can create that plan. That would be the first step that I took with someone who would ask that question. Just really instill grace within them so that we can have somewhere to go.
So
Yeah.
bracing
That's
themselves.
I often say the same thing, give yourself grace, because setting boundaries, it's like establishing a new agreement between you and others, or even between, for you and yourself. And just following through on that and figuring out what that means, what that looks like, and adapting to that can be somewhat difficult, but giving yourself grace, having patience with yourself, for sure.
I would
Dr.
agree with that. Oh, I was going to say, I would totally agree with that. I like that idea of giving yourself grace. And I think for me, I would come from a similar space of just helping to find sort of that full acceptance of where you're at now. Because I think that people can be very hard on themselves. And so when they come to me with something like, oh, I want to have more purpose, I want to have more drive, I want this, I want that, they're coming sometimes with this idea of being like, I'm down here and I need to be up here. And so it's kind of helping them find that actually you're not down below anything. You just are where you are. So let's start from this okay space. And from here, let's decide, okay, what do you really want? And why do you really want it? And is this going to be serving your highest good, not the expectations of what you think someone thinks you should want?
Yeah, well said. I would agree with all three of you. It's really, simply holding that safe space in a mirror up for someone, and for my clients, showing belief in them, because a lot of women come to me and it's like they've lost that belief in themselves and confidence. And so helping support them and not only where they want to be, let's say in 3 months or 6 months or a year, how do you want to feel? What is that feeling that you want that maybe you've missed? And let's look back and see, when did you feel that last? What were you doing? Who were you with? What was going on in your life? Let's explore that. And how can we then create that for you again? And it's helping paint that picture for clients of what's in your soul cup. What is your soul cup full of deep down? Because whatever's in there now, that's going to be poured out onto everyone else around you. So really it kind of comes back to, it's okay to put yourself first. You have to really want to be able to continue to serve everyone around you. So giving them that permission to say yes to themselves, for themselves.
A couple things popped up because I want to hone in on grace, because grace is something that for some people is unconditional, for others it's conditional. Okay. And for those that really haven't walked in grace, it is a process that they may feel guilt around that. Okay. And I love how you talk about give grace, full acceptance. When a young lady or even a gentleman, because we have gentlemen that are out there that's trying to find their way too. Okay. Could you give a definition of how someone can define grace for themselves?
So one way that I answer that question is I define grace by how I give grace and who gives grace to me. So I look for an example, and one person or two people with my girls, I give them a lot of grace because they're my children and there's an unconditional love there. So I utilize those examples, and then I'm a believer. So I think about the grace that God has given me. So I formulate my own definition of grace by the examples where I'm giving grace or where grace is granted to me. So that's my measuring stick. That's how I measure out grace. So I would ask that person, who has given you grace, and who have you given grace to? And once they understand the process of giving or receiving grace, then they can define it in their mind and create their own measuring stick.
Exactly. It's about that balance and equity. I wouldn't say like being equal, but equity, because it like equity, it's like what people's needs are, and they vary based on person to person. But determining whether or not that other person has given you the same level of grace, and so on and so forth. We may be unconditional in our grace, our care, the love that we show other people, but we are causing a detriment to ourselves if we do not examine how other people treat us. From the more like Christian philosophy, there's the saying, treat others how you want to be treated. But if other people are not treating you the same way, even though you're trying to live by example, sometimes that just does not work out. So taking the time to re-examine the state that you're in as an individual, taking the time to re-examine where your relationships stand with you and loved ones, or just you and individuals that you interact with regularly, and just knowing what you have power and agency over, and just like allowing yourself to forgive yourself for moments where you felt like you lost control and things like that.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah. And you know what I really like what you were saying, Renee, about the conditional idea of grace. And I think that thinking about something unconditionally, if you're trying to give yourself that grace, I think it's letting go of this idea that it's something to be earned. It's not something that you have to earn. It's something that you deserve because you exist. And I think what can be really challenging for a lot of people is just accepting the fact that we deserve and we are entitled to everything and anything that we could possibly want or need for no other reason than the fact that we are here on this earth. Like, we are allowed to experience life in whatever way serves us best. And so if it's, a situation where, like what Bianca was saying, where there's a forgiveness that needs to take place, you deserve the forgiveness because you're here. Like, it's not something that is to be earned. I think that it's a matter of fully accepting and embracing that this is your birthright. You get to have whatever you want because you're here.
I love it as a birthright.
Well said. I have to follow up after that. That was well spoken. Yeah, and just to add to all of that, I think it goes back to the more you can give it to yourself, the more you're, to give yourself that grace, you're able to give that to others. And the people that feel that and want that and accept that will give it back to you. And because you have no control over anyone else giving that to you. So therefore it's not taking it personal either, because that's about them. If they don't extend you grace, has nothing to do with you. So it's really kind of that's coming back into your power as well. And offering that, the word compassion comes up for me, and that it's all of this is about self, right? Self-discovery, self-acceptance, self-awareness, self-compassion, and a powerful tool that I've learned through my practice and offer my clients is this compassionate self-forgiveness. Because a lot of the times these thoughts and stories that we have been led to believe aren't true. So forgiving yourself for a lot of times the judgment we have about the thoughts. The thought is just the thought. And then we tie this meaning to it. And really it's simple yet not easy, is really coming back to questioning your own thoughts. What's really true here? Am I just judging myself for how I feel? Because that feeling was valid in that moment. And then we battle with the judgment around that feeling, thinking that wasn't okay. But man, once you can give yourself permission that it was, that feeling is going to dissipate anyways and come up and out. And it just needed to be seen and heard from you.
That is so true. Yeah. It's almost like we get stuck in the labeling of this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. And that is a judgment. So the more we're sitting there judging our own experiences on this is good, this is bad, we're really kind of adding some toxicity to our experience.
I mean, let's go there. That's not I didn't add that to my card, but I do want to know. You guys started your journeys, right? And you were going through that judgmental period, judging every single thing, how you started. what you were doing, the thoughts you were having, any type of racing thoughts, any mental chatter. How did you deal with that?
And that goes back to what we all promote, mindset changes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it's about: looking at yourself, being honest with yourself, being real with yourself. And I've said this 1,000 times. Something that I do every single day is I say my affirmation, and I also talk to myself. I listen to myself, and I grace myself. When I wake up in the morning, I'm having a conversation with myself. I'm listening to how I'm talking to myself. Are you speaking positive affirmations? Are you really being realistic about what you have to do today? Are you being realistic with yourself? How are you reevaluating what you need to do today? All those things. I'm just talking to myself, listening to myself, and gracing myself, knowing this is another day and another opportunity that I have been graced to live and to be a light, not only for myself, but for others. So in that path, I'm just not going to worry. I'm going to let the day go. I'm going to plan. I'm going to be intentional with my moves. But if they don't go the way that I think they should go in my mind, I'm confident enough in myself to know it's okay. There's always tomorrow. And if there's not tomorrow, if I die at the end of this day, I'm okay because I'm okay with me.
Cassandra, you know what I'm about to say, right? So Cassandra actually named one of my signature blends, but she doesn't know it. It's that me versus me custom blend.
Mm.
Cassandra was all about that. It's me versus me.
That's it.
All day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
No competition.
That's right.
Always competing with myself, just being better than I was the day before.
That's right.
I love it.
That's it.
That is
awesome.
it. All right. Full acceptance. Yeah. You know, I wrote that down. Full acceptance. We all like to talk about full acceptance. We like to talk about self-acceptance. I think it's important to be able to accept ourselves, to love ourselves in spite of. Okay. But sometimes, you know, we have these thoughts running through our head, these limiting beliefs that are not facts. We have chatter in our ears that's not from our minds, but from others. Remember this? You're trying to change, but they see you as who you were before. It's hard to get to full acceptance when you have some chatter in your ear, because right now you haven't quite set those healthy boundaries, which was really the stem of the question, right? You know, full acceptance, chatter in your ear, chatter in your mind, discontentment in your heart, upset belly because of all of everything that's going on, because that mind and gut connection. Okay. Full acceptance means if someone had to do a journal prompt right now, they got out their sheet of paper, they got their journal out, and you were like, I want you to write. Full acceptance means. What would you say to them about what it means? How would you guide them through that prompt?
So I think for me, one of the big things that I focus on with my clients actually is what I call radical acceptance. Mm-hmm. And radical acceptance is a positive psychology term that I learned that is all about wholly and completely with mind, body, and spirit, accepting the facts as they are, even if you don't like them. And so if I'm looking at a journal prompt and we're looking at full acceptance or radical acceptance, it's okay, what are the facts? Do I like these facts? Do I not like these facts? Can I be okay with the fact that I like or don't like these facts? If I can be okay with it, from that space of being okay with it, how do I want to move forward? So it's not about trying to change the situation. It's not about trying to necessarily like put a positive spin on it. It's more or less just looking at and recognizing what are the facts, and can I be okay with the fact that this is what it is right now? Like it or dislike it.
I love that.
Am I okay?
I love that. And I first heard about radical acceptance through Lady Gaga. I think like on her talk with like Oprah for like WW or something like that. I think that might have been where I first heard about it. But the aspect that stood out to me was, you know, determining whether or not you're trying to put a positive spin on things. Because a lot of times, like especially in the more like spiritual woo-woo space, there's been discussions about toxic positivity and spiritual bypassing, where people talk about, only focusing on love and light and things like that. Like I brought up my concerns about this entity that was buying up certain programs that me and this like one group are in. And an individual they were basically, doing that like, oh, like negative vibes, if you like focus on that, it's more likely to happen. Okay, yes, sure. But we have to consider all possibilities, like we can't just like brush everything that is presented to us, like any negative possibility, and just like, sure, some people may spiral and worry about things they don't have control over, but we should consider all possibilities and just be willing and open to accept whatever the possibility is whenever it actualizes. Which I
Healthy
think is where the
pessimism.
radical acceptance
There's a
part
dark
comes in.
side to positive psychology, right? There's the light and there's the dark. We got to accept it all. And I always say that. I'm like, okay, today I'm going to walk with some healthy pessimism because I still have to redirect my thoughts to get where I want to go. So I do believe that.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's also, we have to remember that it's a full spectrum of our human experience. Like part of living is feeling things that don't feel comfortable, such as sadness or anger or, pain, suffering, things of that nature. Like it's, the people say the pendulum swings both ways, but it really is part of that spectrum. Like we get to have this whole experience. And it doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, I'm experiencing pain. How great for me that I get to experience pain. Like, it's not about that, but it is about recognizing that this is just one piece of the whole spectrum of my experience. So if I can experience something that I don't like, I can just as easily experience something that I like. So that's the good news. So now I can look at that place and be like, okay, where am I right now on my spectrum? Can I accept this? Can I be okay with this? Is it cool? Like, let me just sit in this for a minute and be okay with it. As soon as I can be okay with it, now it's time to make a decision on which way to go with it,
Jennifer, did you have a take on it?
Yeah, just to piggyback off all that. Again, for me, it's what comes up for me specifically on this is I think we as adults, a lot of us still don't understand what the ego part of us is. And a lot of times when you're not as self-aware, the ego part of you is what's driving your car every day, right? And it's understanding like, okay, is my self-doubt driving my car today? Is my procrastination? Is my fear? What's that limiting belief? Knowing why it's there, that's when you have to accept those parts of you too, honoring them and just building this different relationship with them versus an old way of programming would be potentially to let it take over our entire day. When really, if we're trying to lean into something new, all that stuff's going to show up. Now it's just saying, I see you. Thanks for showing up. You were here just to protect me and keep me safe. I'm going to put you in the back seat though today, and I'm still going to step into my power and move in a different direction than I ever have before. So it's accepting why it's all there. It's not a bad thing. We've maybe been meant to believe that it's this negative thing. Once you're able to change your relationship with that is empowering.
That was good. I think when I hear self-acceptance, that was good. What comes to mind for me is I have this saying, content but wanting more. So if they were journaling, that's kind of a thought that I would put, being content but also longing for more. And a lot of the clients that I work with, I noticed that the issue that they have is being comfortable with understanding that there's a better version of themselves. So I would kind of weigh in on that as well with the affirmations and pinpointing on self-acceptance. I'm content with who I am now, but I'm longing for more. And this is who I desire to be. So more giving them that positive vibe, even though they're content and understand that life is life and life is going to happen.
Well said.
And I think that's important to say, because a lot of times when you hear mindfulness, you hear this, you hear that, everyone is thinking that we're only talking about the fun part of it, the focusing just on, just one aspect. Okay. But savoring could be savoring the lesson that you're learning through whatever it is you're going through, because you savor that moment to be able to pass it on, pass that learning on, not just within yourself, but to someone else, especially, if you have kids and they become teenagers, they know everything and you just in the way. Okay. But it's hard sometimes as a parent to savor their lesson, to look back and say, oh, because you want to step right in and do everything for them. But, it's part of savoring is learning. There's a lesson on the line. It's a young lady that I listen to. Her name is Coach Marie. And she has this song, and it talks about there's a lesson on the line. And one day I was in the car with my youngest, 21. Song came on. She was sitting all of a sudden nice and calm with her phone. And then this. And then she put the phone down. And then she couldn't really function. I said, oh, this song is really resonating with you, huh? There's a lesson on it. Yeah. How much longer is it going to play? I said, I think I'm going to put it on repeat because it was the words. It's hard. It's a lesson on the line. And I love how you guys are saying what you're saying about acceptance and grace, because it all leads to what? Setting that healthy boundary, whether it's with yourself or with someone else, because that's something that folks think, right? Setting healthy boundaries means against others. Sometimes you need a boundary for yourself. And I love that. I love it. I'm so excited. I want to talk about the human ladder because you guys have put some things together. And I wrote a little note here to call it a human ladder. Okay. Y'all know how my mind works. I immediately wrote it down that way because I want to talk about starting climbing up the ladder. Someone wanted to get to the top of the ladder to start with their healthy boundaries, because it still goes back to that question. I want to let all the me timers know, no, I haven't forgot my initial question. My initial question was extremely loaded. Okay. The ladies picked up on it real fast. Whoa, you went right in. But it was a loaded question to unpack what you have to do underneath to get there. Okay. And when you're on your human ladder, we already have our grace. We got our compassion. We're working on that full acceptance because we know, hey, there's a lesson on the line. We're going to get there because what? Just like Cassandra puts it, it's me versus me. There's no competition here. Okay. Don't judge what everybody else is doing because it may not be about you, right? Because it's about, Jamie said, radical acceptance. So I want to ask you about beliefs and confidence when someone is going up their human ladder. Okay. Because we talked about limiting beliefs. We've talked about it. Those are not facts. It's not true. Okay. But limiting beliefs can be within, or it can be a product of generational things, right? On the ladder somewhere, there is generational teachings. Okay. There is some generational teachings there. Some may even call them generational curses as you're trying to go up your ladder to get to how you're going to establish your purposeful, healthy boundaries. Okay. How can someone not miss that step? Because sometimes you want to miss the step of walking through all that rubbish. And it may not be rubbish for some, but I want to call it rubbish here. Please don't vilify me for that, But how can one go through that to get to that next step of confidence?
I think you said it right there. You have to go through it. Mm-hmm. So many people want to overcome something and think that that's easier to do. And it's like to fully heal anything and everything you've been through your entire life, you got to go through it. And you're not going to outthink your way through it either. You have to drop in and feel to heal. And so many people are scared to actually feel. And it's like, when you're trying to protect yourself from feeling, that's actually long-term going to be harder for you. It's going to feel harder. It's going to show up louder as you continue we've all been taught to bury it, fight it, resist it, hide it. Don't show it. When it comes to those emotions and feelings. And it's like your body's keeping tabs on that. it's going to tell you in one way or another. If you don't properly give yourself that permission to express, it's going to show up louder for you. So it's really, as a coach to a client, allowing that safe space for someone to feel all of it.
Cassandra, I see you burning up over there. I could see it, girl.
Because she's all in my quotes. I have a quote that says, it's okay to feel, but it's also okay to heal. Feel it, process it, go through it, and then go to the next step. Don't stay there. And also rest, take breaks. It's okay to do that too, because that's a part of the journey. Even on the 7th day, God rested. Like, you have to take those breaks mentally, physically, and even you have to stop spending sometimes and save. Like, in every aspect of life, you have to take those breaks. But in the process of that, feel it, digest it. And I think about our digestive system. I think about the animal kingdom, just the process. In everything, there is a process. And as we eat our food, it digests, it comes out, it comes through, and then it comes out. And that's how we have to do those feelings. And when it comes to generational curses, one thing that I always say, it's okay not to believe what you once believed. I grew up in a real religious background, and now I'm not religious at all. I might cuss in a prayer, and I'm just like, this is just who I am, and I'm comfortable with my relationship with God. I'm comfortable with who I am as an individual, but it was a process that I really had to go through. I couldn't go over it, under it, around it. I had to go through it and learn who I was as an individual and feel that pain and have those people to talk about me. But I was okay because I was talking to myself, and I was speaking positivity to myself, and I was speaking the reality to myself about what I needed in order for me to go up that ladder.
I love it.
Can I just talk about, so speaking of the ladder and even like more traditional like Christian church background, and just like some of what you're saying, I'm pretty sure I've heard bits of this in gospel, like gospel music, but it just makes me think about how there are many people in various paths and faiths who they kind of approach life and they're like looking towards the future. They're like looking towards the end, whether it's like heaven or, a few years from now, but they are not existing they're not addressing their present. They are dealing with like wishful thinking, with magical thinking. Shout out to the Crappy Childhood Fairy for talking about that. But love her content so much. But there are many people, they focus on like this abstract idea of what they want for themselves, but they don't deal with the self-actualization. They don't really figure out what steps they need to take in the meantime to go through it, rather than to just get over it and overcome it. Oh, I just lost it. But yeah, that's basically what I have to say about that.
I love all of this, like especially like to Jennifer's point, this idea that you can't just get past it. You can't just overcome it. It's not something that you can work your way around. You just have to be in it. And then Shonda and Bianca saying, talking about like the cyclical nature of it and the way that it's like a process and you have to kind of go through it and be in it. And I think for me, like what really stands out the most for me, if it's something that maybe you're in a position where, like you said, Renee, you're kind of going through the rubbish and maybe you want to let that go. My big thing is actually a gratitude practice. I'm really big on finding gratitude for like not only where I'm at, but also finding gratitude for being able to recognize what I no longer want. So when you can be grateful for that. So it's like, yes, I'm kind of in this right now. And yeah, there's a process I need to get through and I'm going to feel this and be in it. I'm going to feel to heal and all of that. I can also say, you know what? Thank you for showing me what I don't want. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to choose what I do want, and just finding gratitude for all of those little bits and pieces. And I feel like gratitude is kind of like this magic bullet that sort of pushes you up that ladder in a really powerful way.
It's hope.
That's good.
It's hope.
That's good.
I gotta wrap this question up because I want to definitely get into one more question. Well, actually two. I don't know if I'm gonna get into it, but because you guys are awesome, like I'm feeling this. I'm so excited. I'm holding it in pretty good. Y'all know you know how I can get. So let's say that they've gone through it. Okay. They're coming out on the other side. Yes, it was some tears involved. Yes, you had to shed some layers. You had to purge some things. Now it's time to set a healthy, purposeful boundary. Would each one of you provide a starting affirmation just to start as they start to pour positivity into themselves so they don't just judge themselves and, worry that, oh, I can't do it. I can't set this boundary. Because a lot of times people don't set boundaries because they worry about how it's going to affect someone else. And they fail to give themselves permission, as Jennifer's been talking about here, to say, it's okay for me to have a healthy, purposeful boundary. It's okay to say, this is not working for me. Yeah, I can hang out with you sometimes. Yeah, I can hang out with naysayer sometimes. But girlfriend, you can't stay. You can't stay. You got to go. Yes, I can party with the mindset misfits for 20 minutes, but boo, don't outstay your welcome. Okay. How can they continue to pour positivity into them? How would they start? What's an affirmation that they can say repeatedly? They can put it on an index card, put it in front of them all the time.
Well, I'll share my personal affirmation. My personal affirmation is I am that I am, and because I am, I can, and because I can, I will. And that's my anchor affirmation. I know that I am, I know that I can, I know that I will. So that puts me where I am and where I want to be all in just one line. So that's my anchor information. Just reminding myself that I am.
I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah. Mine is actually similar, and ironically, I got it from a song, from a band, Pearl Jam. But it's I am mine. So just remembering I am mine. I'm in charge of my experience. I'm in charge of my destiny. It's mine. I am mine. And I think even in that affirmation, I think it's also just remembering that a boundary isn't a cement wall. Like, I think a lot of people are so hesitant to set boundaries because they think it's going to cut them off from their connection or the bonds that they've forged with certain people or certain experiences. A boundary is not a cement wall. It's just a door that could be opened and closed whenever you want.
Say that. Talk to me. I needed that. Thank you.
That was good.
You reminded me of that this morning.
So what has helped me, mine also comes from media, but mine comes from, it's like two, the Star Wars franchise. I haven't watched, I can't like name every like scene, like, or name all the species, but there are some lines that definitely stuck. That is the sign of good writing. So, Yoda's quote, do or do not, there is no try. I say that to my boyfriend all the time, or like even my friends or just associates. Whenever they're like, oh, I'm gonna try, whether it's something for themselves or something for other people, but especially if it's for themselves, I'm like, do or do not, there is no try. Because if you say that you're going to try, it's like you like take yourself off the hook a little bit. But if you say you're going to do something, you are more likely to do the thing and make sure that it gets done in whatever way possible, whether it is something for someone else or something for yourself. Like, I'm going to do it. And like I catch myself all the time, and I catch my loved ones all the time. That and a former coworker of mine put me onto the Sith code. I know dark side us, but it definitely helped me out through some things. So through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. Through power, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. So like really, really being comfortable with exercising my power, with exercising my strength. And like, when Palpatine, which is like, I know, villain, but whatever, I'm literally wearing a robe that's named after Elizabeth Bathory, but where he's like, like let the hate flow through you, allowing yourself to feel and letting that move through you and move in a meaningful, impactful way, and letting it be released. Not against someone, like that's like where the whole like Sith part, ends for me, but like, like not projecting your hate into like lightning bolts to like destroy people, but just allowing yourself to feel rather than trying to always be level, always be peaceful and zen, and like living a falseness. It's just like really feeling your rage, your anger, your sadness, and allowing that to flow through you. So thanks, George Lucas.
It's like embracing your own personal volatility.
So
I'm a metal fan, so like, yes, I love that.
I want to throw something out there because I got to make sure I get at least one of these in, because we're going to hear it. We're going to, when this airs, it'll be in December. We're going to be going toward that end of the year. And everyone gets toward that end of the year and they be like, oh, what am I going to change? I'm going to have some resolutions. I'm going to do this. So I want to talk about new year, new you, new year, new me. I got the right audience to do it. So let's talk a little bit about that. New you, new year, new you. What does that really mean? Because why do you have to wait until a new year?
Yes, you took the words out of my mouth. So for me, a year doesn't mean, or the start of a year doesn't mean January. The new year is whenever I want it to be. My new season is whatever I want it to be. So the advice that I will give the audience about, being able to reset in January, reset now. Why wait? Go ahead and create that plan. Go ahead and begin to take the steps to execute that plan. Don't wait for what? Because of a date? I mean, and some people, they need that date. I understand that everybody's not the creative. Everybody, some people need more structure and everybody's not jumping to it. And if that's what you need to do, then do what's best for you. But to the people who's more ready to go, don't wait. Just go ahead and jump into it. Go ahead and create that new you within your mind and then execute it. For me, I hate working out. I absolutely hate it. So before I go to the gym and I continuously start working out, the week before, I mentally get up in my mind. Then, a few days before, I actually get up, but I don't go. And then I finally get there. So start that process in your mind early and then just go ahead and execute it. But don't rely on a date. That would be my advice.
I would, if I may, a powerful thought process to begin when you want to start making different choices and decisions, especially when it comes to the emotional relationship we all have with food and drink. Really, it's right. It's not what you're eating. It's not when you're eating it. Usually it's why. Ask yourself why. And so a powerful question at any given time when you're ready is, would my future self thank me for doing this right now?
Ooh.
Am I serving my future self?
Jennifer, that's a read.
Yeah.
And that snarky snacking that happens, in the middle of the day when someone is just like, that de-energizing activity is putting some pressure on your brain. That's a read right there, girl.
It works.
And just like anything, right? It sounds simple. It's not easier. We'd all be implementing these things and be in a different trajectory than we are right now. So again, it comes back to grace, right? It's not beating yourself up if you made that different choice in that moment because those chips sounded good or that chocolate sounded good. But if you can start, more times than not asking yourself and making that choice for your future self, that's just building a small, new, better habit that will continue to build. Just like anything, the more you do it, the more you do it.
Yes, building better habits. I'm always like BBH, and they're like, what? And I'm like, building better habits. But and even just this morning, I saw this comic where it was someone who was like putting off doing their dishes, and then like the specter of their tomorrow. So they're like, oh, I'm just gonna have myself do it tomorrow, and they're like, do the dishes now. And they're like covered in blood, and you're just like, oh, like, what's happening tomorrow? It's just like handling it now. But can we rephrase the question again? Can we just like prompt? I lost it for a second.
New year, new you.
What was it?
New year.
Oh yes, new year, new you. Yeah. So I I think it's BS. We put way too much pressure on ourselves. We already know the statistics that like a lot of people, they'll like set a New Year's resolution and then like, by like what, 2 months in, they've like fallen off it and they feel like crap. Something that has helped me, being into like the mystical stuff that I do, of course, I'm like, ooh, moon, big shiny orb, magic. Um, Doing things by the moon cycle has helped me be more consistent. Um, like whenever it's approaching a new moon, I try to do like a lot of like cleaning, like deep cleaning and like cleansing of like my space and myself, and even like digitally. I need to do more digital new moon cleaning, honestly, in boxes. And then like full moon, whenever I'm really trying to set things in motion, I usually use like the days leading up to the full moon to be like, okay, I'm gonna make like big conscious steps like as like the moon like is glowing and like magnifying that. So like that having some sort of, it doesn't have to be like anything mystical like that. It could be just a visual cue for you. Whatever, however that works for you and your personal path. But like for me, working with the moon cycles, especially since it keeps reoccurring and especially more frequently, it encourages me to take more regular mindful steps towards my progress and seeing that growth like consistently. And yeah, just like just finding some sort of like cue or trigger that happens more frequently. Sometimes you need something outside of you to look at and be like, okay, now's the time.
Mm-hmm.
I
Those
love
moon
that.
cycles are awesome. We've just had some great moon energy.
Yeah.
Great moon energy.
Yeah. I feel that. And I think I agree with everyone about the sort of BS nature of the whole new year, new you, like it coming down to a date. And like, there's a couple things that kind of come up for me when I think about that. Like, firstly, I don't like the implication that there's something wrong with the current you, which I think happens for a lot of people. So if you're talking about new year, new you, I would offer the invitation to first sit and look at, what do you mean by a new you? And is there something wrong with the current you? And if you think that there is, there's an opportunity to go inward and really explore that. And also, as far as like a date or a timing or whatever, like honestly, every day is the first day of the rest of your life.
Yep.
Like every day that you wake up, it's a new year. So it's all cyclical. So the time is now.
I love it. I love it. Before I end today, because I feel very fortunate to have you guys on, and I'm getting a little emotional, actually. I'm trying to hold it in because this idea hit me actually when I was on the podcast with Jennifer, and I said, Jennifer, I'm going to do it. And
here you are. Here we are.
Yeah.
That's good.
But to have you all on and to have you here sharing your knowledge, your experience, your soul, because you guys are beautiful ladies. Like I feel very blessed to know you. I want to thank you. And I'd like to end the show for those that may watch this during a time where they're not with their family. They couldn't be, or they're by themselves and they're feeling a little lonely. I'd like to end the show with some encouraging words from some of the badass ladies on the planet. And yes, it is a family show, but I couldn't remember Apple Sugar real fast. Okay. I like to end with you guys giving them some support. And if you would, I'd like to take this last couple minutes with you providing support and just giving them some words of encouragement for that individual, that one person that may catch this and really, really need some hope that day. What would you say to them?
So for whoever's watching this at this moment and you're in a place where you're feeling like you're alone, just remember to be grateful that you're here and that you can even feel, and embrace this day. Even if it's just watching a movie, popping popcorn, if it's Thanksgiving or Christmas or around the holidays, if you got a turkey sandwich, be grateful, and just embrace the day. Make the day what you want it to be, even if you can't be with your family. And this is what I tell a lot of people that's in the military or deployed or, those type of things, I always tell them, embrace the day and be grateful. So that's the same advice I give to you.
I would. That was beautiful. And I would add too. So the affirmation that I wanted to share that I hope that someone that's listening tries on tomorrow. And it's being able to look, we all look at ourselves in the mirror every day. My invitation is to see yourself in the mirror, because that hits different than we looking at ourselves in the mirror, and really not only seeing yourself in the mirror, but being able to say, I am loved, I am loving, I am lovable, and I'm worth it. No, you're worth it. You're worth it by just being here, by not doing anything else you think you needed to do today or to achieve today or knock off your to-do list today. Simply you're worth it just by being here.
Thank you. That is, I think I can't even say anything around that, because some days, I know there were days, and sometimes now you question your worth. Something could be going on and you're questioning your worth. Mm-hmm. But you just reminded everyone that we are worth it. We deserve it. Watch a movie. Mm-hmm. Hug yourself. It's okay to give yourself a hug. Mm-hmm. I give myself hugs all the time. And let me tell you, I'll be like, girl, you doing it. Yep. I do. I stop and strike a pose. Do that again. And sometimes my kids look at me like, oh, she's in there striking poses and talking to herself again, until I caught my 21-year-old pausing, stopping to strike a pose. I didn't want to hear it anymore after that. I knew I was the bomb.com after that. I really want to thank you guys so much for taking the opportunity to be on my first panel for Speak On It. And I think that it's meant more to me to just sit here and to listen to you and to bring all of this together. First of all, I just love to see all these queens on the screen and sharing your knowledge. You guys are phenomenal. And I just want to say to the Me-Timers, to anyone that's listening, check these ladies out. Because Speak On It is about bringing that me time off vibe to you. And these are exceptional women who bring positive vibes to you every day. And sometimes that's tough love that we all need, right? And I'm just so glad to have them on. So thank you so much for tuning into the first episode of Speak On It, where it is your time to be kind to your mind. You guys have a great day now.
Thank you so much.